Hello to all of you who's watching this Ragic webinar. This is Fabio from Ragic, and just saying hello to wherever you are around the world. This webinar, it will be about basically how to share your data to people within your Ragic database, and also people without people who are not in your Ragic database in a controlled manner. This is an important aspect in your database sharing in terms of your database usage. And just for now, let's wait another few minutes to let more users join this webinar. And in the meantime, if you have any questions regarding this webinar or even Ragic in general, feel free to ask questions here. Just a reminder that if you would like to ask questions, you may, if you're using a laptop, a computer browser, you may ask your questions in the chat box located on the right of your screen, or it might be on the bottom of your tablet app when you're watching this webinar on a phone or a tablet. Alright, I guess now is a good time to get this webinar started and kicked off. Well, first of all, let me give an introduction about Ragic if you haven't known about Ragic in the meantime. Well, basically Ragic is a database design software that allows you to customize and create your own database without using any codes. And one key aspect of a database is the access rights of your different users, such as your colleagues, your clients, and also your vendors. And of course, sometimes you might need to have your data accessible to people all on the web, probably it's public. And in Ragic, you can customize this without using any codes easily. And I'm just going to show you the logic, the thinking behind it, and also the process of how to set it up. So regarding access rights, the first step, the most fundamental step, is to manage your users, especially your internal users who are probably like your colleagues or people who are within your organization. So to manage your users, the first step is go start and go to account setup. As you can see, when you come to the account setup, the first page you see is a sheet called users. Yes, it looks like a sheet, but this is a system sheet that allows you to control your users in your database. So as you know, other than the support account, I have 3 other accounts, and just to let you know that is they're all my own accounts, of course. So let's just think it as 3 different myself and 2 of my other colleagues. So they are the users, and if you have purchased more users and would like to add more users, like add more emails, accounts to your database, you can always click on the new button to create a new record for a user. And let's just see how the form page looks like and what you can do with the user sheet. So let's go to my own account. So as you can see, this is the form page of a user. Now the most fundamental fields are these 3 fields: the email field, the full name field, and one of the very essential field is called the Ragic groups field. So the email field is basically the account that they will be logging into the database with. So for example, I'll be logging in with this Fabio at Ragic.com, and that's my account to the database. And the full name will be basically the display name when you're using your database. That you will have a displayed name. This will be popping out in the comment section, in some certain reports, and select user fields, or anywhere that you would expect to see a user to be selected or basically seen. So regarding access rights, the most important thing is called the Ragic groups field. Basically, for the access rights of different sheets or even feature access rights, we segregate them in Ragic by the user groups they are in. So as you can see here, myself, I'm in the sysadmin app user group, and basically the user group. So there are a lot. I can select more other groups, but let me just go through this a little bit. Basically, if a user is a sysadmin, he or she will have all the basically access to everything, every setup, every design of the database, no matter which other user group he or she is in. And for other user groups, then that's basically, you can set their access rights to different sheets differently, and they will only be able to view and access the sheets that they are basically they have the access to. And just a reminder that please make sure that you have at least one sysadmin in your database. And so basically, like, if you're the only sysadmin, never remove yourself from being the sysadmin, or it might cause some trouble in your database. And we as Ragic, you'll need to email us, and we'll have to try to get your sysadmin user rights back, access rights back, if you are basically the owner of the database, or basically the guy who registered for this database account. And there are also other employee information that you can basically enter. For example, I have my employee number. I might be number 87. My title, Ragic speaker. At least that's myself for today. Company Ragic. And of course, there's more other settings which you can also set a direct supervisor and a deputy, which will affect basically the approval steps when you're processing approvals in your database. Contact information, signature, a lot of different things you can use, and click on save. And I've just updated my user page. And on the other hand, on the user page, you can also see a change design. This button to basically, yes, you can change the design of the database. However, since this is a system sheet and all these fields have basically, it would affect your database in ways. It is not just like a normal sheet where you can just record your data. So I would highly suggest not to move delete, or even redesign the fields in your database, especially these three fields, since they highly affect the database in terms of every different users. However, if you would like to add some other fields in the blank spaces, please feel free to do so. And if you would like to have more settings about your users page, we also have a system template sheet in which you can go to create a new tab sheet, install template, go to system, and we have users, external users. Like these two sheets are the multiple versions of your user access sheets, which you can install them onto your database. And then if you would like to modify the design of those multiple versions sheets, please feel free to do so. And that's basically how you manage each and every user differently. So the next thing is I'm just going to go briefly about external users. I personally haven't applied for them, but if you would like to apply for enabling external users, you can add them for free and just submit a request, and then we'll open the rights for you. Now, what are external users? As mentioned above, they are generally the clients, vendors, partners, and freelancers who are not in your organization but would like to access your accounts. So basically, if, for example, your client may need to access a sales order in your sheet to probably enter their data or update their data. However, since they are not your internal members of the organization, they will have limited rights in the Ragic database. With external users, basically external users can only be survey users, which means that they can only edit and create their own. They edit, view, and create their own records. Or viewers, meaning that they can view everything. They can view all the records. They can't be bulletin users, and of course they can't be the admins of any sheets. So this is basically what are external users and how they can, why you need to design them and how they can use your database. Now one of the most key things is called the groups. As I mentioned previously, they are basically how we set access rights to each and every sheet. Now, as you can see, I have quite a few groups, around 10 groups. Now, some of them, basically except the content group, which is a group that I personally created, all the other groups are basically the system default, the default groups that Ragic sets up. Now, basically, a general user group is just like a normal user group in which you can assign your users to. External users, similar to user groups, but they can only be survey users or viewers. Now, if you're the sysadmin, as I mentioned before, if anyone's assigned in the sysadmin user group, that means that he or she will have all the controls of the database. Like, for example, I'm the sysadmin. I can change the design of this sheet if I would like. Now, one key group, it's kind of not really like a Ragic group, because this is basically everyone around the world who has the link to your database. Basically, everyone means that if you have set access right to everyone, for example, if everyone is a viewer or a survey user, that means if anyone can access this sheet, the sheet that you have set the access rights of everyone to viewer or survey users or even bulletin users, everyone can access your sheet. So that's when basically what you open your that you basically made your database public or your sheet public in that sort of aspect. So of course, if you have a lot more groups, for example, you have two management groups or even two branches of your companies that need different group and access right segregation, you can create more groups. As I mentioned, I've created a content group here, and let's try to create another group here. I'm just going to call this webinar group. Now you must enter the group name. Basically, that is for the system to identify which groups should have the access rights in Sheets, or which users should be assigned to this certain group. Webinar preparation will be the group description. And yes, I've just added a new group. And of course, I can also change the design of this sheet, but again, make sure that don't change anything on the default fields. If you would like to add more fields or process the design in a different way, feel free to do so, but please do not modify the default fields here. So let's go back to the groups. Now there's a webinar group here, and there's a new group I've created. Now, to see if this group will be working, let's go to access rights. When you click on this, when I click on access rights, basically it shows all the sheets and all the different user groups. And just to tell you that the webinar group is located at the end of this, probably the rightmost of this grid. This is just the group I've just created. Now you can set up the different basically the different access rights of your different users here. Or you can of course do it in your sheets. Now if you're doing it in your sheets, then you won't have this grid view, since that will be basically just for that sheet that you are trying to design. But if you'd like to basically do like a general for all the sheets, then it will be easier if you go to the start account setup, and then you can click on access rights here. And these are basically this is basically for the sheets, for all the sheets separately in your database. However, there's also one feature that you can also set up the different settings for different groups of users. Now, this is called feature settings. Basically, feature settings it controls the whole, basically like all the tools in your database, and you can see which certain tools that certain groups can have access or can't use this tool. One of the basic actions that many people would probably change the feature access settings to is to delete record, since right now sysadmin can only delete the records. However, if for example, your internal a user would like to maybe they're asked for a leave, but they would like to delete it in the end, then you would probably like to allow the users to delete the record if they cancel the ask for a leave. Now, if you would basically allow them to have this feature, just click on this downward arrow, and then you can select which users can have this feature access. And I'm just going to say user, and for every setting, just click save whenever you're done. It will reload the site, since it will need to reload all the tools in your Ragic database. It will since modifying a feature access right would heavily affect everyone and almost everywhere in your Ragic database. Let's reload. And also, since this is now set to everyone, but you would probably like to set the feature access settings of the email record. For example, you probably wouldn't want everyone to be able to email a record from the database, since it might cause some data breach in some cases. For example, like you want your data to be completely confidential, but emailing them out from your Ragic database, you can't really control them that comprehensively. So let's change this. Let's not have everyone use this function. I'm just going to allow the sysadmins to do so. Yep, and now we have it. So these are the settings that you can, the access rights settings that you can do in account setup, and basically it controls all of your database, from your users to groups to each user's access rights to different sheets and to the different features in Ragic. And now let's go to the sheets, the sheet aspects of the database. Since if you haven't know about it, Ragic, we manage data like Excel. So basically each type of data, each piece of data is managed by different sheets. Now, if you recall from the last month's webinar, we did basically like a sales order and an employees and products sheet. Now I would like to use these as an example of how you can basically share your data or manage your data with access rights, or even probably share it externally to people outside of your database. They don't have to be in a user in your database, but there are also some ways that you can share this out. So I'm going to go to the sales order sheet for now. So this is the sales order that I have created in the last webinar. And basically, if you guys don't remember, I used some link and load. I've also done some multiple versions. I've also done subtables, formulas, etc. Just a review from my last webinar. And regarding access rights, for example, one of the most popular questions or most popular feature as question is that if I would have one sheet, for example, this sales order, I would like to have two different access rights. So, for example, for one group, I can view all the data here. But for another group, I'm not allowing them to view certain fields. For example, I don't want them to view this subtable. I don't want them to view this client. However, I still want the two sheets to be in sync. How could I do that? Now, let's go to change design here. This is how multiple versions come into play. So if you I'm just going to show you how multiple versions work. Go to Form Tools in the design mode of any sheet. Click on multiple versions here. I previously created a sales order copy one, which is a multiple version, but let me create a completely new multiple versions here. And select to use same data source on new sheet, which means that the data on this new duplicated sheet not only has the same fields by default, but it also have the data in sync. Now let's duplicate this. I'm just going to call it sales order multiple version. Oops. I'm going to allow this pop up here. Oops. Now let's exit here. Let me refresh this page. Yes, and now I have this sheet here. Well, basically, if I allow pop-up, it would basically automatically go to that new multiple versions sheet. Let's go here. Well, right now it looks completely the same, but as I mentioned, I don't want some certain people to view these fields, the client information, and more of the product detail information. On this new multiple versions sheet, although the data is synced, but the design is not the design is not synced, meaning that if I delete a field here, it would not affect it on another sheet. Delete, 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 delete. Let me get this formula away. Click save. Delete, 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 delete. Oops, and this one delete. And I can also move the fields. I can also rearrange the fields, change the styles. I can apply a theme. So let's make it a more colorful one. And after you have set it up, click exit. Now I have the same, basically here, I have the same sheet with the data in sync. And what about access rights? Now I've just created 2 of the same sheets with data in sync. These 2 sheets, they can have different access rights. For example, I'm going to go back to the original sales order copy. I can go to form settings and access rights here. I can assign access rights on this sheet first. So for example, I want no rights for general users, no rights for everyone. For this sheet, I'm not opening any access rights to any group. By doing that, only sysadmins can access this sheet. Click on save. However, I can also go to the multiple versions sheet and change its access rights. Again, form settings, no rights. I'm going to allow users to be bulletin users, which means they can create their own records and view all the records in the database. Basically, it's basically a survey user access rights plus a viewer access rights. And I'm going to also allow the webinar group, which is the new group I've just created and just appeared in the bottom here, to be viewers. And when you're creating a new sheet and then you notice that you would need another user group, you can also click on the add user group here in your sheets. It just makes it more convenient when you're just designing a new sheet. So I'm just going to have this called order group, or actually a better group called order processing group. Submit. Now I've just created a new user group here, which I can also assign the access rights to. Of course, it will also be processable in the account setup in the future. And then now I can just click save whenever you're done with the settings. And then I have basically 2 of the same sheets. They have the same data, they have different design, and they also have different access rights. This is how you control your access rights between the same data, but you would like to have a different view and have a different usage for different groups of users. This will come in very handy when you have when you're in a large organization, but would like to share your data in a specific way. Now let's leave this, and I would like to go to back to the sales order since it has more data here. So when you go to tools, you can see that there are under share, there are 3 different basically sharing options or sharing tools. You can embed this sheet, and we have a lot of embedding tools. I'll be talking about this towards the end of this webinar. Email this entry. You can simply email this entry to other user to a specified email, or simply just share this entry. I'm going to talk about share this entry first. Basically, even if you do not open the access rights of your database to people in the public, you can still share this entry one way. Basically, when you click on share this entry, you can generate generate links that are only read and can write, which means editable. You can generate a link, and anyone with this link, if you basically copy and paste it to a specific person that you would like to have access to, anyone with this link will be able to access the database in the way that you allow them to. And this link will only be temporary. I think it's only they will only have a week of access with using this. So again, I'm just going to show this to you how it works. I'm just going to go copy, and let's close this. Add. And now this is how when you go to this link and how your sheet will be look like. And since I've just generated a link that is read only, I can't modify the data. However, if I generate an editable link, I can edit this record in the link, and it will then be applied back in the database on the sales order. So let's go back to the database. Now the second thing is called email this entry. Email this entry, basically it emails this entry out in basically like the email format generated from this sheet. And you can manually enter your recipients, basically enter the email that would like to send this email to, and also CC and BCCs. It also generates basically a default title and also like default content, in which you can still customize the content and everything by clicking on it. And I can, for example, content as I would like to add after a record summary, I would like to add thank you very much. And after I've added this, you can see that this basically shows the content of this record with an ending of that thank you very much that I just added onto this email. And recipient, I'm just gonna type in Fabio@Ragic.com, which is myself. And other than that, I can select to include more things from the Ragic database. You can include their link to this record, which will basically allow users to access this record with the link, an Excel file, and a PDF file. And as I've just mentioned, if you guys still remember from a few minutes ago, I've just generated a link that's read only, or it can also be editable. Yes, you can also include them in your Ragic record email. You can also select to include them, and after you have basically done all the settings, and also attach the files that you would like to attach, probably an image, a PDF, another PDF document, an Excel file. Basically, if you like to attach them, please do it as you wish. And then after everything is done, you can click on send. Now the email has been sent successfully, and after your email has been sent, you will have an email conversation on the bottom right area here, and it will show the details of the emails. And if the recipients reply to this email, it will also be popped up here. Now, another thing that will also be very helpful is that if you have an email field, when sending out, if you have an email field, for example, if I would like to add my email here, Ragic.com, click on save. When sending emails, it will automatically obtain this field's information. So if you can see recipient Fabio@Ragic.com, that This pops up because I've entered the email. I've entered an email in the email field. So by default, it guesses that I will be sending emails to this email. And if you would like to send multiple, if you would like to have multiple emails, you'd like to send it to multiple different emails. In the email field, just like how you would add more recipients to the email sent, just add a comma and then keep on typing the emails that you would like to send them out to. So now I have 3 emails here. Let's see, email this record. Yes, now I have 3 email recipients. So this is how you send. This is how sending emails in Ragic work. So and other than manually sending emails, one thing you can do, you can also, if you're a database user and you would constantly need to send emails to certain people, such as, for example, whenever you would like a client to receive an email after you have created a sales order automatically. Yes, you can do that. You can do that setting by going into the design mode. Go to change design, go to form tools, and there's a custom button called send custom email. And we can click on this button, and this sort of just looks like the email, the sending email screen that we've just seen previously. Of course, I can do more customization and include more information if I would like to when I send email. And since this is more like a setting aspect rather than a individual record sending out aspect, I can click on advanced and do more settings. And for this setting, I'm just gonna say automatically run when saving. So that means that when I save this record, this sending email action will automatically be executed. Or in other words, whenever I finish creating a record or save a record or make an edit to a record and save it, an email will be sent out to the people that are designated as recipients. Click, and this will be an action button. Email this order. Click save, and let's go and exit. Now, you can see that in the action buttons area, there's an action called email this order. Now, if I would like to basically do it automatically for each record, I can click on this button, and since I've also set it to make it automatically run when saving. Basically, whenever anyone creates a new record and saves it or makes an edit, the recipients will receive the email. And finally, if you would like to embed your database or even just simply create a database form, or just have a link where other people can view your data in their own way, you can check out our embedding tools. Now, let's go to our embed this sheet. Regarding embedding tools though, you will need to modify the access rights of your sheets in many different ways. But basically, this is a case-by-case situation, so let's go look into this. I will be talking about I'm not going to be talking about all. We have 6 embedding tools, and I'm not going to be talking about all of them, but some of the key ones. So there are the six website plugin tools, which are embedding tools. One of the most popular embedding tool is called the database form, which basically acts like I would say, if you're familiar or if you've seen one, it looks like a Google form, and let's just go into this. But since this is just like a Google form, it has to be set in you have to be set in public. Now you would need in here, you would need to update the access rights to the user group everyone to survey user. Now you can, of course, you can go back to the sheet and update it, or you can click on this button to update the access rights automatically. Now, updated successfully. Now I can proceed to the next step. So this is how your sheet will be look like. This is basically a plain form in which your people can then enter data in, just like writing on a form or writing on a database form. And you can also process subtables here. But of course it wouldn't have those link and load windows, but they will still have they will still be functioning with like a drop downs and radio buttons. And other than that, you can click on this button to change the design and the layout of your sheets. Let's click on this button now. So now I'm going to make it in the middle here. I can change the banner. So yeah, if I add this banner, I'll have a banner at the top right here. This pile of coffee beans. Whoops. Oops, why is this moving around? All right. Or also you can upload an image from your computer or from your device. Just click on upload banner, and we suggest the dimension to be 1500 times 300, since that would fit the database better, and since it's located in this kind of shape in the top of your sheet. And of course we have a lot of different banners that you can select from as well. And background colors. Now I can change the background color of this embedded database. So I'm just going to, I'd say I'll select, since it's I have a coffee image at the top for the banner, I'm going to select a cocoa bean to make it fit better. And now I can see that the background is in this certain color. And field orders, I can select how I want the field orders to be. However, they are arranged vertically, and one row can only have one type of field, unless subtables are still arranged horizontally. And as you can see here, I have a subtable product name here. Basically, the subtable will be in one horizontal row to make you be able to have many subtable entries in an embedded database form. So after everything is done, click save, load everything, and then leave. And now you can see how this embedded database form will look like. Now, if some of the fields are processed as read only or hidden, it will also be reflected in this database sheet. For example, this sales order number, it's automatically generated. So if it's automatically generated, then it means that users are not allowed to input any value, since this is one of the things I set it up. And also one thing that you can change is when you have selection fields, but you do not have that many selections, less than 5, you can select to either use radio buttons here, right? Or you can change the type. When you select change type, it will be a drop-down menu. Whoops. I think I need to refresh this page. Whoops, now it works. There'll be now like a drop-down menu here. It will be a drop-down menu with 3 options, and that's for radio buttons. And when you see the add new here, it means it allows you to add a new option for your selection fields, no matter if it's a single selection field, a multiple selection field, or a select from another sheet field. So, and also if you guys still remember, the grand total is, there's a formula applied to it. This will also be reflected on this sheet as well. Installation needed, yes. Now since I've just added the quantity. Now the formula is, whoops, went on the right page. Now the formula is now executed. Now I have 3,000 in the grand total, and of course I can select to reset this to have the whole thing started again. So after all your settings are done, you think you've completed all the settings, click next. For embedded database form, you can also basically set a response message when users have finished and submitted the entry. I'm just gonna say, thank you for your submission. Click next. Now there are 3 ways to embed this. You can place this code, use a WordPress shortcode, or just simply embed this, or just like using a Google form. This is basically this is the link in which your users can submit the data and then create a new record on your Ragic database. So let's try this now. Let's go here, sales order, date of order. So just to tell you that this is the embedded database form page. Name, and then if I would like them to execute the link and load correctly, I will also need to open the access rights of the link source sheet. So I'm just gonna skip that for now, since I haven't executed a link and load for that. I'm just going to do basically enter the data for the sheet that I won't need link and load with. Cash.com. Laser printer 4. Now I've basically finished a form here. I can click submit. Now there's a thank you for your submission, which is the custom message that I've just set up, and I can submit another entry. Clicking on this, now I can submit this entry again. Submit another record. Now let's go back to my database and see how it works. Close. Now I have just entered a new record via the embedded database form. Now sales order number 3 here. This is how it is viewed on the database, but this record is actually processed by an embedded database form. So if you would like to, for example, have your users fill out a survey, and you would like to record all the surveys in your database, this is a very convenient way for people who are not in your organization, as they can just fill in the data straightforwardly, in terms of just like filling out a form from top to bottom. And then this will also be convenient for you, since you will be automatically collecting their responses and manage them in your Ragic sheets and in your Ragic database. And other than those embedding tools, we also have other embedding tools that will be very helpful as well. Let's go to embed this sheet. Just going through the other embedding tools that you might need. Database viewer, basically it just allows your users to view all the records in a list. And database query means that when your users search like how you filter in Ragic, when basically they query for something, they will reflect the results of the records. And database search, basically search all of your database regarding the keywords. Database view and query, basically it kind of combines them together, since you will have basically two parts when you have the query part and the view part. I'll be showing you that later on with another sheet that I've just created. And the raw embed, basically it just embeds your whole database on your site. If you have for example, like any WordPress site or any website in general. So regarding the other embedding functions, I would like to show you guys how to set them up, process them with a sheet that have a lot more records on. And if you guys have viewed my one of my blog posts previously regarding a baseball analytics database, now I will be going to that database to show you how to do using other embedding tools. So this is my baseball analytics database, in which I have opened the access rights of viewers of everyone to viewers. So if you guys are interested in how I manage my baseball statistics of Taiwan CPBL, since I'm personally Taiwanese and I follow this league. So you feel free to view my database and view that blog post. So let's embed this from here. Embed this sheet. Let's go database viewer. Basically, this is how your database will be. It basically shows the list of your database. You can have it a table layout, a block layout, just like this, an album layout. So if you have images. If you have images, for example, I do not have it in my database, but if you have images for example, for players right here, then using an album layout will be very handy and very visually appealing. For this, I'm just going, since I would like it like a list of data, I could go for a table layout, go next. Again, let's see how it works in this link. So basically it shows, just like your listing page, it shows all the information, and you can go to next pages. You can apply filters. You can apply source, apply source by clicking on the field headers. And this is basically the database viewer. Let's go back here. Let's go see another tool called database query. Now basically it sets basically you're just like filtering in Ragic. You need to filter by different fields, and you can select which fields that you want your users to be filtering from. So you can set default query field, and for example, I would like them to be able to search by name and only position. So I'm just going to leave those two fields. And click OK. Now, after I've done that, the users can be able to search for records via the two fields I've just set up. I can click next. And this is just like the database viewer that I've just seen before. This is how your data will be presented after using the database query. And again, let's check this out here. Now this is just the page that I just set up, and I would like to search via picture. Now list out all the pictures in this database. And again, just like in database viewer, click on the field headers to apply a sort. any field header you like. And finally, let's go to the last embedding tool that we'll be talking about today, which is called Database View and Query. Now, as you can see from the layout, it combines the database viewer and a database query at the same time. Again, just like the default query fields, I can select which fields that I don't want and the fields that I want. Oh, just for your information, I have some fields that are in Chinese right here. This is because my CPBL database is a bilingual database. I've made one in Chinese and made one for English. But since I would like them in sync, so they are multiple versions, this is why there's still some Chinese fields right here. Again, finish them, click OK. And now, let's check this out. So again, I would like to search by position, get picture again. So rather than having them done on 2 separate pages, now after you finish querying, all the results of your query will be populated in the bottom. It can, in some instances, it will be more straightforward, more direct and faster, but selecting the right embedding tools for your database and for people that would like to view data in your database is very important. So basically just customize in the way that you would like. And of course, there are also a lot of other customizations that you can do with Ragic, not just how you share your data, but also how your sheets will be looking like, what formulas you would like to set up, what tools or automation that you would like to set, etc. Well, and yeah, that's it for today's webinar regarding how to share your data in a controlled way. As I mentioned, access rights is setting up the access rights of your user groups is highly important for your internal users, but for people who are not in your database, there are still other tools for them to view your data, and also in other formats, and also they can process the data in the way they would like. Basically, you can set that up, customize them without using any codes. And yes, that's it for today. And if you have any questions regarding what I've just talked about today or anything in Ragic in general, I will be here to answer questions. And if you would like to, if possible, I'll build a quick prototype and then show you how it works. So thanks to user Joe95, and thanks for clearing that. I was trying to think what does Fausto mean? Like, is this another new vocabulary that I should learn or something? How to do a mail merge using a Word template. Well, basically, if you would like to mail merge your data using a Word template, the first things first is to have your template set up correctly with the the fields done correctly. Let's see if I could do this from the sales order, sheet. Oh, and just for your information, if you would like to mail merge data from Word, you cannot do it with subtables. So actually, I think I should do it from my player general information sheet. This is just for general information. And to Joe95, no problem with the mistake. And thanks for your shout out. So let's see if I would like to. I'm just going to mail merge this player information. You would need to create your own template, since we only have a sample template for Excel. But what you would need to do is to first have the fields arranged correctly, and have the field names and the field's IDs populated in the correct way. And I would suggest it will be easier if you would go to the document section and go find mail merge. Let's see if I let me just get this out for you. Mail merge. This is our documents page, and if let's see for Word. So mail merge templates. Creating a template. Basically, just remember that if you would like to populate information on your Word document popular Word your data from Ragic to a Word document, make sure that you have the fields in this format. Now you have to create this template first and upload it back to Ragic, and then you can successfully do mail merge. And to user Mr. Kelvin Reyes, regarding external users, is it possible to assign entries to users that are not part of the organization, but they will see entries that are assigned to them? If they are external users, like the external users that you have granted them, like you have added them into your database as external users, basically they can either be survey users and viewers. And if they are survey users, you can also set them to see entries that are assigned to them. So regarding assign, I'm going to go back to the sales order sheet. This is also a function that will be coming really handy if you would like to assign your users. Simply, first of all, create an assign user field. Let's say assign user, and automatically pops up the setting to be as select user, and then you can select the user as entry manager, and click save. Nope. Go to forms, and then you can, for example, I would like to change the access rights of this sheet, and I would like to assign it to a sales user, change the access right to survey users, and I can say no edit and no create. Now they can only be viewers, and they can only be able to view the records that are assigned to them. This also goes for external users as well. Actually, I have external user group here. So again, survey users, no edit, no create. That's basically the same thing. And to user Gracia phone, if you would like to have more information on the mail merge template, feel free to submit a support ticket via the via the need help button, and then basically submit a support ticket and send it to us, and I'll get you the documents that you would need. I think that will help you better. And feel free to ask any questions regarding what I've just talked about in this webinar or anything in Ragic in general. And if your question is more extensive or more, you would probably need us to have more time to understand your needs, feel free to submit a support ticket via the Need Help button and record. I was always like our database users to record as much detail as possible so we can have more references and have a better understanding of your database and of your issue. And if you guys would like to, feel free to include screenshots or file uploading so we can have a better understanding. As a popular saying, a picture says 1,000 words, and it is actually the case in Ragic as well. And also, if you guys would like to have any suggestions or you have any recommendations on future webinars or basically the topics of future webinars, feel free to do so I can understand what you guys would like to know more about or how in Ragic, and also how you would like me to proceed with this webinar in the future. And also, if you guys would like to know more about the different Ragic tools or how to different ways of designing your Ragic database, feel free to go to our YouTube channel and review the previous webinars. I have uploaded them there, and they'll stay on there for users to review them whenever you'd like. And in the moment, I guess it's a good time to conclude this webinar. And thanks for all your guys' questions and participation. And we'll see you next time.